like me, you are a child of the 80s and or 90s, you were probably hit with a lot of pro-dairy, pro-cow's milk propaganda. I couldn't turn on the TV to watch anything without seeing a milk it does a body good commercial in the 80s and a got milk commercial in the 90s.
I'll have long since outgrown you.
And you'll be history.
Milk, it does a body good.
Excuse me?
Let me get some milk.
Got milk.
Nowadays, there's a lot of anti-cow's milk propaganda and pro-plant-based milk propaganda floating around. I'm using the term propaganda in the academic sense, not in that, ooh, scary, creepy propaganda, it's evil and wrong, but rather a campaign to promote an idea. Having said that, I've been wanting to do this for a while. I'm going to taste test, do a side-by-side taste test comparison of plant-based milks and compare them to my golden standard of cow's milk. So let's first look at them all close up and see what they look like. Well, as you can see, just by physical appearances, each of these milks has a little bit of a different color. I think the most noticeably different one is this oat milk. It is like tan in color. The coconut and the cow's milk are pretty white. I'd say the coconut milk is the whitest of all. The cow's milk has a very slightly yellow tinge to it. And then this almond breeze has like a mauve sort of tint to it. I don't know how well these colors are coming across on my camera. I hope they're coming across well. Maybe I'll try to color grade this so it looks like it actually looks IRL. And then the soy milk is also a little bit tan, but not quite as tan as the oat milk. Okay, so I'm going to start at this end with cow's milk. So confession, I love cow's milk. I used to drink like a glass of this with every single meal, every day, well into my 20s. I don't anymore because it's kind of expensive. I like to get like organic, better quality cow's milk, and because it has a lot of calories, and I'm not anywhere near as active now as I used to be when I was younger, so I just don't need like the extra calories with every single meal. But I still love cow's milk. It is a treat. It's like a little snack every once in a while, and also I use it in caffeinated beverages a lot. I drink a lot of tea. Just before I filmed this video, I had a cup of chai tea brewed in cow's milk. So let's take a sip of this for my golden standard, to which I will compare all of these plant-based milks. It's just so good. There's a hint of sweetness to it that I noticed. I started noticing this when I stopped eating as much sugar in my, I went through a phase like in my early 30s where I was like, I'm gonna really cut down on my sugar consumption, see what happens. People say sugar's bad. I'm gonna see if they're right. And yeah, when I stopped eating as much sugar, I realized that milk actually is sweet. There is milk sugar in it, lactose, which a lot of people in the world cannot digest. I'd say I think the majority of the people in the world are lactose intolerant. I am lactose tolerant. I love it. My body loves it. I love milk, it's great. I'm gonna give this milk, it's not the best cow's milk in the entire world, but it's pretty damn good cow's milk. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Well, maybe I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Oh, and incidentally, for drinking, I like 2%, but for like recipes and cocoa and like savoring, I prefer whole milk. Now I'm gonna try some oat milk. I've been doing a dumbed down version of Veganuary, for those of you who don't follow me and just happen to stumble upon this video, where I eat one unique vegan meal per day. I don't eat all 100% vegan for the month of January, but I am eating one unique vegan meal per day. And on day 2, I made a banana smoothie with oat milk, and every single day since, I'm on day 5 now, every single day since I have had that same smoothie. So I have been drinking this oat milk for the last few days, but not on its own. I've never tried oat milk on its own yet, so here goes. Oh, that's sweet. Is it sweetened? Dairy-free, carrageenan-free. I don't know what that means. 4 grams protein. I'm sure there's sugar added. Oh, wow, there's 130 calories per cup. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that is sugar. Total sugar, 17 grams. Wow, yeah, it tastes good, but yeah, it's definitely sweet. I'm sure there's like a less sugar version of oat milk. But yeah, it tastes like oats. I very much like the taste of oats, so I suspected that I would like oat milk, okay? It has that chalky quality that plant-based milk has that I just don't like very much. I know a lot of people don't like it, but it is so sweet. No wonder smoothies tasted a little sweeter than they usually do. I usually make them with cow's milk or coconut milk unsweetened. Okay, this is tasty, but I think a lot of the tastiness is honestly from the additional sugar. It's like milk with additional sugar. It does taste like oatmeal. The texture and the consistency, I can even see on my glass. I'm sure the camera's not picking it up, but there's all these little tiny granules of like oat powder. And yeah, I can feel that coating my mouth as I'm drinking it. As a drink, like it's still pretty tasty to just kind of drink it on its own. I don't know if I'd have it with a meal though, like I would cow's milk. I'm gonna give it a 5. I think it's a pretty tasty drink on its own, but like as a milk substitute, I'm glad I've only been using it in smoothies and I haven't attempted to use it in anything savory because this stuff is really sweet. Okay, now I'm going to try coconut milk. Is this coconut milk? Yes, it's coconut milk. This is usually my go-to plant-based milk. I almost always have a quart of this in my pantry because I use it in some Indian and Thai dishes. Usually if I'm cooking Thai food, I'll use like coconut cream instead because it's a lot more concentrated. This stuff is pretty watery. Let me see how many, yeah, this is only 45 calories per serving as opposed to the 130 calories for the oat milk. And I think cow's milk is about the same. Yeah, 130 calories for 8 ounces of cow's milk. So these are the same, calorically speaking, although this is probably like mostly sugar. The coconut milk though, this is unsweetened. I can also see the little film of little tiny ground up bits of coconut in there. I've already had this before, so I kind of know what it's like. Yeah, so it's vastly different from the oat milk right off the bat because it's not sweet. Again, like milk, cow's milk does have some sweetness to it. It does have some sugar. I'm sure coconut has like natural sugars as well. There's probably like a tiny bit of sugar in this that's like naturally occurring. Nope, 0 grams and 0 grams of added sugar. I mean, there still might be a tiny, tiny bit. They can still legally say that there's 0% and there's still like a little tiny bit. But yeah, not at all sweet. Frankly, I think this could do with like a tiny, tiny bit of sweetness, especially if you're just gonna drink it as a drink. The consistency though, the texture is a little better than the oat milk, I think. It's a little creamier and like less chalky, but the flavor, even though I'm getting the coconut in there, like it doesn't taste as good to drink it like just as a drink. So as a drink, I would give this milk like a 3, like just to drink it. Again, I really like it in recipes. I think this is where coconut milk really shines, but as a drink, a 3. Okay, now I'm trying almond milk. This is the drink of my people, the millennials. Supposedly like killing the almond industry with our almond milk addiction. I have had this before a little tiny bit. I did a vegan month almost 10 years ago now, and almond milk was one of the milks I had, and I did not like it. I don't think it was Almond Breeze, this brand. It was a different milk, different almond milk. And I didn't like it because it was watery, chalky, and bitter, I remember. It was just overwhelmingly those things. This milk looks a little, it's even making like little bubbles at the side, kind of like what cow's milk does. And I'm not really seeing any chalky residue, so maybe this is good. Let's see. Oh, that, texturally speaking, is a lot closer to cow's milk than the other 2 milks I just had. And I do taste the almond. It is ever so slightly bitter. You know how when you eat almonds, if you're eating them with the skins, it's bitter from the skin? I'm getting just a tad bit of that, but there's a hint, a little hint of sweetness in there too that was missing from the coconut milk. You know, it's the consistency of milk, like it feels kind of like that in my mouth, but it's also watery. It tastes kind of like, consistency wise, like cow's milk mixed 50-50 with water. You ever, if you're a child of the 80s or 90s, did you ever like know any of your friends' moms, like, or your mom or dad watered down your milk with water to extend it and to save money? I knew a couple parents who did that. Not mine, thankfully, but yeah, it tastes watered down. Flavor's pretty good though. Like, I'd say the flavor's better than the coconut milk. Yeah, it's just a little too watery. I have a feeling that if it were less watery, it would wind up being then too thick and chalky. And that's probably the compromise they had to make when making this product. I would give this, I'd say as a drink, probably about either a 4 or a 5 out of 10. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. It's pretty okay. And it does surprisingly taste like almonds, but it's just too watery. And last but not least, I'm actually the most excited to try this one, soy milk. The reason why, actually there's a couple reasons why I'm excited. My body tends to prefer soy over other legumes, for one thing. But the other reason I'm excited to try this soy milk is it has a lot of calories. It has 140 calories per 8 ounces, so it's the most caloric out of all of the milks on this table. I'm suspicious now that maybe it has a bunch of sugar. Yep. 14% of your daily value looks like, yeah, 9 grams of added sugar. So yeah, does it even say sugar added? Like they had vanilla soy milk and stuff. It does not say sugar added or whatever. Yeah, but you know, anyway, the consistency of this also looks really nice. I don't know how well you can see it on camera. There's little tiny bubbles in it when I move it around. I don't really see little gritty bits, and it looks creamier. And because it has more calories, I'm optimistic and hopeful that it's less watery. So let's try it. Oh, it is so sweet! Wow! Okay, I'm glad I'm doing this taste test right now because I was gonna make mac and cheese with this for lunch today, but now I know, nope, I should not do that. It is sweet. So yeah, this is yet another drink that, you know, you could use it in sweet applications. You could make desserts with it, just use less sugar than what the recipe calls for. You could use it in drinks. I think I'm gonna make a caffeinated beverage out of this. Cause yeah, the consistency is really nice on this. Yeah, you know, if it weren't so sweet, I think this would be the closest thing to cow's milk on this table. I like it better than the oat milk. Let me try the oat milk again. Yeah, like I like the flavor. I like the oat flavor of the oat milk because I like oats. Like I like the flavor of oats. I don't like this, again, I don't know how well you can see this, but this chalky film that's forming on the cup and the chalky sensation that's in my mouth. Soy milk does not have that. It's smoother and creamier. It's the closest, I'd say, in mouthfeel to the cow's milk. I think I gave the oat milk a 6. But as a drink, I think I'd give this one, I think I gave this one like a 6.5. I think it's a little bit better. It's probably the closest to cow's milk. I already said this before, I'm repeating myself, but I think it's the closest to cow's milk in consistency and texture. And it's just a little sweet, which, you know, it's okay. Sweetened milk is tasty. But because of that, yeah, it's not necessarily the best straight up one-to-one milk substitute. But yeah, I think out of all these milks, the soy milk is my favorite. Well, out of all of these milks, the cow's milk is my favorite. But out of all the plant-based milks, the soy milk is my favorite. And you know, I'm going to amend my initial score. I think I gave this an 8, like just in case some of these milks were so good. But no, I'm going to give this, if I'm comparing it to the plant-based milks based off of the scores I gave them, I have to give this like a 9.5. Not the best cow's milk in the world, but it is really good. So there you are. This is by no means the end-all be-all taste test. There are so many other plant-based milks out there, and at the end of the day, taste is subjective. So, you know, one of the milks I didn't like, you might really like. One of the milks I liked, you might really not like. But if you're an omnivore, or if you just haven't really dabbled in plant-based milks before, hopefully this will give you an idea of which ones you might want to try. Oh, bye.
And let's hear it for Britt, Honey Badgers, Megan M, Matthew, Jenny D, Jocelyn, Gina F, Megan B, Data Fox, Gina S, Ruth, Katie, Lonesome Screams, Mahir, Morgan, Vidfafo, Britta, Veda, and Colette.